Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today I will be explaining a recent decision I've come to concerning the hand-fed babies. Mainly that I will no longer, or at least for a while, be doing the DNA blood testing. Sending out the blood samples to the lab to have them tested to be either male or female. There are several reasons for this, but the main reason is that a small number of people are pretty much screwing it up for everybody else, just the way things go. I'll go more on into this and what I will be doing instead of the DNA testing. And I will try, because it is my busy season, I'm doing 12, 14, 16-hour days here with the birds. A lot of babies coming up. I'll try to do something like a fireside chat. But instead of a fireside, I will have my heat lamp. I'll do a little talking while I do a hand feeding session. This is only a split hand feeding session, a split shift hand feeding, so not too many babies, so it shouldn't take too long. And if anybody would rather read this announcement and have more details, you can go onto my Facebook page and everything will be on there as well. So, first, you are a noisy one today, aren't you? That's one of my boarders up there. A lot of the birds do get a little jealous when they hear me talking to somebody else on the phone. So, as I was saying, a small number of people have pretty much been screwing up it for everybody else as far as DNA testing goes. And I know that this will upset some people who are looking for one of my babies because they want either a male or a female specifically. But I am doing other methods of determining gender. For the past several years, I have been using these other methods based on observation and experience. And they include things like feeling out the shape of the pelvic bones of a baby. Males will have a smaller pelvic opening. Females will have a larger pelvic opening to facilitate the passage of an egg. Eggs are quite large compared to a bird. They do need that larger pelvic opening to allow the egg to pass. There are also changes or differences in the shape of a bird's head in correlation to the placement of an eye. And this can trend towards male or female. I won't go too much into that. That does require diagrams and measurements and a lot of the technical stuff. Another way is to watch the babies while they are in the brooder. Males and females will often have different behaviors in the brooder. The females will usually, especially when they're very young, a week or two old, they will sit in the... Everybody's speaking up today. The females will usually sit with their faces pressed into the substrate, into the wood shavings, with their butts up in the air. The males will usually sit with their butts down and their heads up in the air. I've heard that this might be to, if a predator does come into the nest box, they are more likely to take the males first, and this means that the females are more likely to survive and continue on the bird's bloodline. The females are more important, genetically speaking, because they lay eggs and have more babies. I've been making these observations and testing them out for several years now. I'll write down my best educated guess and then see what the DNA test results have returned to me. And lately I've been about 85 to 90% correct. Even in the sexually monomorphic birds, the birds that don't have individual differences between male and female. Of course, some birds like the cockatiels do have some differences. Cockatiels, parrotlets, and budgies, they do have some visual differences. It can be hard to tell if you're not more experienced in it. And for those birds, I do use the visual differences as well to help increase my odds. Now, there are reasons why people want to have males or female birds specifically. Let's get that warming up. A lot of people say that the males are more friendly and that they don't want females because the females lay eggs and they are convinced that the female will become egg-bound. Now, there are pros and cons to each gender, male or female. For males, you do have the pros that they are more outgoing. Now you gotta get out of the way. I got a pup here. I want to sit right in front of me. Move. Go. Shaggy dog. Males are more confident and more outgoing. Not necessarily friendlier, but they are more confident. I found on average, every bird is, of course, different. First up, some budgies. Budgies go quick. But males also, when they become hormonal at certain times of the year, just like females will do, males do tend to become a little more aggressive and territorial. They get more bitey. And of course, then you have that behavior that they will tend to try to hump everything around them. He's getting noisy now. All chattery. Females, yes, they do lay eggs, but I do find that they do form very strong bonds with the people. And they are less likely to become overly aggressive and bitey when they are in season. Well, these guys are hungry. They're all talking to me. But with the females, they do lay eggs, but laying eggs is a natural part of life. I have hundreds of eggs laid here every year. I never had a female pass away from complications of egg laying. I have never had a case of egg binding here. It all comes down to them having a proper diet. If they have a proper diet with enough calcium, there is no problem. And males or females should always have a proper diet. It's not a thing that's only specific to a female. Really, in advantages to disadvantages for male or female, it really is 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other. If you end up with a male and female pair, or a female and female pair, they will likely not lay eggs unless you give them a nest box and allow them to go through the whole nesting and incubation process. If you see an egg at the bottom of the nest, simply take the egg out. Of course, some females are chronic egg layers, or they have a very high egg-laying drive. But there are other methods that you can go through to reduce this egg-laying tendency. more information can be found on my Facebook page, and I'll be putting up more videos on YouTube as well, how to deal with and discourage egg laying. But really, it is 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I've never seen any real difference in friendliness or behavior, and that's not during the mating season, between males and females. I have male birds here that are bonded to me. I have female birds that are bonded to me very strongly. Both males and females do talk, if you are into that sort of thing. Believe me, hearing "I'm a pretty bird" 1,000 times a day gets on your nerves. But on to the reasons why I'm no longer doing DNA testing. The main reason is because of breeders, dealers, and brokers. Now, I get breeders contacting me at least a half a dozen every week, looking for unrelated DNA tested male, female, adult pairs. For obvious reasons, they want to have more birds in their breeding program. Now, I did not spend 6 weeks hand feeding a baby, playing with them, training them, socializing with them, and yes, getting maybe a little bit attached to them, only to see them end up in a irresponsible or unethical for-profit breeding program. Now, I know there are a lot of good breeders out there. I have dealt with good breeders in the past. I've done business with them in the past, getting birds off them and giving them my birds. But before I do any of that with a breeder, I will have to go and see their facility in person and see how they keep their birds and take care of their babies and take care of their birds. You would not believe some of the things that I've seen looking at some other people's breeding operations. People who are only into it for profit, want to do everything as cheaply and easily as possible. Ooh, got some full babies here. Back to the nice warm breeder with the temperature. 39.9, perfecto. Another single little budgie, too small to go in with the rest. And a little conure, also a little too small to go in with the rest. Yeah, some of these breeder setups that I've seen in the past. One guy's place I went to, he's had everything in the garage, in an unheated, uninsulated, unventilated, unlit garage, just rows of cages. And they were homemade cages. They're made out of plywood and OSB and chicken wire. I didn't stay there for very long. Another place I went to, a guy had a homemade shed out in his backyard. Probably a 10-foot by 15-foot shed. You wouldn't believe the number of bird cages he had screwed to the walls of the inside of this shed. Little space heater in the middle because it was winter, but it was still cold. No real considerations taken in for lighting, for ventilation. I usually saw some rats and mice scurrying around going for seeds outside. I left there pretty quick. Another place I saw was a guy had a barn. He just lined the inside of his huge barn with chicken wire and put in a whole bunch of budgies in a colony breeding setup. And a whole bunch of nest boxes up against the wall. Of course, unheated. He would just go in every day and shovel in some food. And once a week go and see if there are any babies that he could pull for sale or for hand feeding. He only hand fed for the last couple of weeks of a baby's life. Or of a baby's before they're weaned. minimum amount of hand feeding done. Oh, you're full. And you pooped. Good enough. And he was going and shoveling new food every day. Once in a couple of weeks, you go and shovel out the sand and dirt he'd use to get the dirt poop. And this made, he had a couple of hundred budgies in his barn, flying around free. That was good. They were getting all of exercise, but no heat. And there was taking no considerations for this to stop inbreeding. So you know there's a lot of inbreeding going on and a lot of territorial fighting. The budgies, when they're nesting, they will defend their territory, and if there's a nest box too close, they'll go into the other nest boxes, kill the babies, fight with the parents, break the eggs, just do damage. That's not a good way to do it. I keep all my budgies in separate cages by pair, so I know how often they breed. I can control their diet. I don't want them breeding every 3 months. Once a year is good enough for me. New paper. And I heard this guy, he shut down about 8 months later because he thought that he could go extra cheap. Instead of buying actual bird seed to feed these birds, he found that he could buy oats in bulk, 3 sacks of oats for animal feed, much cheaper. So he shoveled in some oats. And at first it worked out great because the oats are high calorie. So the birds all started laying eggs like crazy. Had a big bumper crop of babies to sell to pet stores and such. Cockatiels. But of course, oats are not very nutritious. They don't have all the things a bird needs. So next clutch, the birds laid only half as many eggs. Then a quarter. Then they stopped laying altogether, and within 6 months, most of those birds had died. And he was out of the business, and good riddance to him. He tried to go as cheaply as possible for as most money as possible. But I have seen good breeders out there. Very high-tech setups. One fellow I used to buy from in Langley, he did finches. This was quite some time ago. He built this beautiful little indoor aviary in his backyard, heated with web cameras, and very nicely done. No problems buying from him. But the breeders, as I was saying, I get contacted with probably 5-6 times every week looking for unrelated DNA tested pairs, adult pairs for breeding. And I tell them I don't have any because I don't sell breeding pairs. Then they ask me, oh, do you have any rescues or do you have any hand-fed babies? How many do you have and how much and how soon can I come by to get them? I tell them to go get stuffed. But then they start to get sneaky. I have caught a few who have tried using friends or family to contact me. They say they're looking for pet birds, males or females or both maybe even. But it usually falls apart when I do the screening. They are not as knowledgeable on bird care as they should be. I also ask them to send me a picture of the bird cage that they plan on using. And a lot of times I find that the picture they send them, if I do a reverse search on it, it's a picture they downloaded off the internet and sent to me. But I have been caught a couple of times that I sold a bird to somebody, one of my hand-fed babies, and it's ended up in a breeding program somewhere. That upsets me quite a bit. That's why I've taken increasingly stringent steps to help prevent that happening. Look how small this guy is. I gotta show you. I don't pull him usually this young for hand feeding, but he was the smallest of a clutch, and he just wasn't being fed properly. I can't show you safely. I don't want to drop him. The other people I have problems with are brokers. These are people who have a client who wants to have a certain bird. They also work with breeders. And for this client, they will go and find a bird from a good breeder. And they will act as like middlemen. They will take delivery of the baby from the breeder and send it on to their client and take a commission in payment. Often a high commission. Often a very, very high commission. Ooh, that is one full baby. And they only want to have DNA tested babies because that's what gives them the highest price and therefore the highest commission. And they're not going to be doing the DNA testing themselves because they just want to be able to take the delivery of the baby or of the bird and then immediately send it on to their customer. Oftentimes they will just get the delivery of the bird in the crate. They look inside, make sure the bird's still alive, and then send it off to its next destination. They don't have the knowledge, the facilities, and of course not the time to do the DNA testing themselves. They're just in it for the money, like a house flipper or a Craigslist flipper. These brokers, they do this with birds, dogs, cats, puppies and kittens, reptiles. Just a quick flip, make a little money. Got us a collar here, little pineapple. And they contact me looking for specific birds. They all have to be DNA tested. I tell them I don't sell to brokers. They get all pissy. The worst though are the dealers. These are the guys who will call me up. One guy called me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning last week. He forgot about time zones. And they will look to buy all of our breeders' birds that they have ready, all the birds that they can churn out, in order to sell them to pet stores. They are dealers for pet stores. I had a guy call me up a little while ago. I don't know how they all get my phone number. He called me up ago. He offered me twice what I charge for babies to double my profits, he said. And he would take every baby that I could give him, and he'd pick up every month. He was selling to pet stores from all the way from Alberta to Manitoba. And he was in great need because the spring season is coming. That's his busy season. Every spring and every year before Christmas, I get contacted by brokers and dealers especially, who want to have every bird that I can give them. But they all have to be DNA tested because, again, that's how they get the most money off them. And they're not going to be doing DNA testing themselves because they're not bird keepers, they're just bird dealers. They get the birds delivered to their facility, and as soon as possible, oh, that's a good baby, he's hungry. And as soon as possible, they ship them off to various stores. In fact, they want the babies to be delivered to them in crates that'll hold them for at least 4 or 5 days with enough food and water for at least 4 or 5 days of darkness and isolation before they can be shipped off to their new home. Unsurprisingly, I told this guy to get stuffed, and I might have gotten a little shouty with him, but that's just how it goes when somebody wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But they keep calling. There's always new ones coming up who's trying it out. who want to make a quick buck. I don't care how much they can offer me in terms of money. I'm not going to sell to a dealer, not know where my babies go to. I screen all my new potential bird parents. Whew. I like to know where they go so I can follow up on them once in a while. Get some pictures of them growing. If you're doing it just for the money, that's a whole different job you're doing. Oh, come here. Oh my goodness. I think I just got baby's first. I got a baby's first flight here. Who took their first flight? These guys are drawing down. Oh, one of the yellow-sided. They're in their grow-up cage, so they have a little bit of a chance to fly around a bit. Must have been practicing. He made it all the way up to my head. Good. Let's see if you're hungry now after that. Where was I? Oh yeah, the dealers, the unethical breeders, the brokers, the dealers. They're just in it for the money. They don't care who the bird ends up with, a good owner or a bad owner. Which is one of the reasons why I do see a lot of rescues coming in here. Birds are surrendered to me, bought at pet stores every year in the spring or Christmas. Because they're sold to people who are unprepared. Impulse buys from a pet store. That's never a good thing. Now, there are also a couple of other reasons why I don't like doing DNA testing. I've never really liked doing DNA testing. One is the pain factor involved. To do DNA testing, you have to take a blood sample. Taking a blood sample will hurt no matter what you do. You can't really put a needle into a bird to take it out painlessly without anesthetizing, knocking them out. So you either take a blood sample either by ripping out some feathers from the chest, which really hurts. Imagine having a whole clump of hair pulled out of your head. And there will be little bits of blood stuck to the ends of these feathers that you pull out. Or you clip off their toenail and you clip into the quick. And you draw a couple of drops of blood that way. That hurts less than having your feathers plucked out, but it still does hurt. Because they jerk away when you clip. And they'll hold their foot up for a day or two afterwards. I always felt really bad when doing this. So I give them extra treats and extra attention, extra good food and everything afterwards. Like giving a little kid a lollipop and going to the dentist. But I have seen that some birds are a little less trusting because that experience of pain is often their very first experience of pain when they're here in this safe brooder nursery setup I have here. Sure, they might bump their head or bump their beak when flying around for the first time, but not to the point where blood is shed. There were another reasons why I never really liked doing the DNA testing. I found it just necessary, a little bit of necessary pain. The other reason is, of course, the cost. Everything is getting more expensive these days. Bird food. The seed is getting a lot more expensive. It's gone up in price several times. The hand feeding formula has gone up significantly. The cost of fresh foods, vegetables, fruits, and all the other foodstuffs that go into the chop that I feed these birds, that grocery bill has gone up a lot in the last few years. Just, holy crow. Trying to buy 50 pounds of romaine lettuce in the off season. I've gotten a lot pricier. Heating costs, electricity costs, property tax, replacement equipment costs, everything has gone up, including the cost of doing the DNA testing. It's gone up several times in the last few years. In fact, the only thing that hasn't gone up, at least in the last 2 or 3 years, has been what I charge for my hand-fed babies. I know with all the other costs going up, that's going to have to change as well. Sooner or later, I'll have to start charging a little bit more again for the hand-fed babies, just because the cost for keeping and raising the parents and the babies has gone up. I do have quite a few rescues coming in here. But I'd rather that increase in price come later rather than sooner. A couple more babies to feed. So basically the main reasons I'm not doing the DNA testing, at least for the time being, things might change, is because the breeders, brokers, and dealers are constantly pressuring me for my babies, trying to trick me into giving them my babies, but they all require a bird to be DNA tested. If word gets out, and it will, that my birds are no longer being DNA tested, hopefully they'll leave me alone and I won't be running the risk of having my hand-fed babies that I've taken such good care of for so long ending up either in a breeding program, being shipped across the country by a broker, or ending up in some pet store to sit in a glass aquarium for the next 3 months at triple or quadruple my price in some pet store where I don't know. That is a real main reason. Breeders, brokers, and dealers, and not knowing where my babies end up. But really, there is no difference between males and females. People who say that they have a friend who had a male who was friendlier, so they want a male too. Or they had a female that was friendlier, so they want a female too. That is pretty much anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal? Close enough. Basically, your relationship with your bird and how friendly they will be will all come down to the time you spend together. A happy and healthy bird, kept in good conditions, fed the right foods, getting a lot of socialization time, will be a happy and healthy baby. Will grow up into a happy and healthy adult. And will be friendly. Basically, with the breeders and dealers, it is another case of a small number of people screwing it up for everybody else, making me change my policy to deal with them, and in the process upsetting a lot of other people who do not do those practices. Kind of the way things have been going lately, in ways that are outside of the scope of this brooder or nursery. Well, back into the cage for these guys. That's my talk. I still got more hand feeding to do, but I'm all done talking. So, I'll see you next time. I got babies coming up while I'm doing this video. I got cockatiels and condors and linneys and lovebirds, all weaned and ready to go. It'll be hard to see them go, but I do have more babies on the way that I can play with and spend my time with. Have a good day, everybody. Out of my way, Shaggy. Oh, what are you doing? I gotta wash my hands. Oh, yeah, Shaggy dog. getting a haircut tomorrow. Up, down, up, 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 up.